read this, and this guy named Roger Sims, I don't know who he was. Roger Sims, he was a soldier, and he was discharged and headed home, had no means to get home, had his suitcase packed and took off down the road, put his thumb up in the hitchhiking symbol. And we don't do that anymore, but people used to, and it used to not be dangerous, but it is now. I don't recommend it, but Roger was hitchhiking, and they kind of given up hope. And then this brand new sleek Cadillac pulls up beside him, stops, and the passenger door pops open. He runs to the car, and there's a well-dressed, business-looking man sitting in the driver's seat. And he says, "Are you headed home for good?" He said, "Yes, sir, I am." And he said, "Well, get in. If you're going towards Chicago, you're in luck. I can take you that far." He said, "Not quite all the way to Chicago, but that's the direction I'm headed." And then Roger begins to make small talk with this businessman. "Do you live in Chicago?" "Yes, I have a business there." His last name was Hanover. And this man, Roger, has been a faithful Christian for his years, all his years. And as he is riding with this businessman making small talk, the Lord begins to deal with his heart to witness to this Mr. Hanover. And he finally, when he realizes he's almost at the end of his journey, he said, "Mr. Hanover, can I talk to you about something that's very important?" And he said, I want to tell you about Jesus Christ." And this Mr. Hanover, after listening to him give the gospel to him, finally pulls over on the side of the road. Roger thinks he's going to kick him out of the Cadillac and leave him on the side of the road. But instead, with tears streaming down his face, he leans over that steering wheel, and to the astonishment of Roger, Mr. Hanover gives his life to Jesus Christ. They go on to his destination. Roger gets out of the car. Mr. Hanover drives on. Seemingly the end of the story. 5 years pass by. Roger's married, got a 2-year-old boy, and a business of his own. And one day the business required him to make a trip into Chicago. He's packing his suitcase, and he catches his eyes caught by this little business card that he had stuffed down in his suitcase. And it was for Mr. Hanover and the business he had there in Chicago. So he makes his mind up, when I get to Chicago, I'm going to look up Mr. Hanover and see how he's doing. He goes into Hanover Enterprises, and the receptionist tells him he can't see Mr. Hanover, but he could see his wife, Miss Hanover, if he wanted to. So Roger goes in, and she asked him, "Did you know my husband?" And he said, yes. About 5 years ago, he picked me up and carried me home. She said, "Do you remember when that was?" He said, "I remember it distinctly. It was May the 7th. Her head dropped a little bit. And she said, "He never made it home to Chicago that night. Apparently after he put you out, he was in an accident and his life was taken." Roger felt compelled to tell her what had happened on that car ride. And he said, "Miss Hanover, I want to share this with you. I hope you can understand." But he said that I talked to him about Jesus Christ. And right before he dropped me off, we pulled over on the side of the road, and he gave his heart to Jesus. Right before he put me out, she began to sob uncontrollably. And she said these words, "I've served God all my life, and I prayed for my husband to be saved. And I felt with assurance that God had spoke to me and said, I will save him before he dies." And she said, "For 5 years, I have thought God did not keep his word. But because you stopped by today, I can say without a doubt that God is always faithful." Woo! That God is always faithful. I don't know if that's a true story or not, but I know the essence of the story is true. And even when we feel like it's too late, even when we don't see how God is working, even when we don't understand what God is doing, can I tell you, He remains faithful. He remains faithful. And if God has spoken a promise to you, hold on to it with all your heart, because it will surely come to pass. He is faithful.